All right, everyone. So Joe Biden wants to end support for Saudi Arabia. And by that, I mean he wants to stop America from selling weapons to the Saudis. The Saudis are in a war against the Houthis in Yemen. And so the American policy has been to sell weapons to the Saudis so that they can fight and defeat the Shiite Houthis, who are backed by Iran. Biden wants to stop selling weapons to the Saudis and instead wants to end the war through diplomacy. The reason why Biden wants to end arms sales to Saudi Arabia is because the war has literally led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. Tens of thousands of people have died from starvation alone. And 24 million people in Yemen are dependent on outside assistance. And by tens of millions, I am talking 24 million people out of a population of 30 million people. We're talking 80% of the population in Yemen is dependent on outside assistance. And if it were not for this outside assistance, millions of people would die or would be very close to dying. It would be very, very horrific. Tons of people would die. Let's just put it that way. So Joe Biden has said that he wants to end the war through diplomacy. And you know what? If Biden can pull this off, if the Biden administration, because I know that presidents don't do things like this on their own, if the Biden administration can pull this off, good on the Biden administration. I completely support it. This is just like the Iran deal. The Obama administration said, well, let's allow Iran access into the international market so that we can control Iran, as opposed to allowing Iran to become a rogue state and a rebel against the American empire. And it was a good idea. I really don't see how doing a deal with Iran is a bad idea. If you can control Iran through money, it's not a bad concept. It's not a bad proposal. It's not evil. If the Biden administration can end the war between the Saudis and the Houthis through diplomatic measures, then God bless Biden for that. Really, it's there's nothing wrong with it, because if you just keep selling weapons to the Saudis, those weapons are going to be used to kill people. It's going to be used to kill civilians. Tons of people will die. And Saudi Arabia will say, well, we don't kill people directly. Yes, okay, fine. But your military incursions do kill civilians. And so what's the best policy in this regard? Is it to automatically resort to selling weapons? Or can you end the war through diplomatic means and settle the conflict and preserve human life? I go with preserving human life as opposed to implementing a policy or perpetuating a policy, because this goes all the way back to Obama, perpetuating a policy that will lead to more death. This war goes back to 2014 when Obama was president. And it happened when the Houthis, backed by Iran, took over the capital city of Sana'a, the capital city of Yemen, and they overthrew the president, Abdurabu Mansur Hadi. And the Saudis are supporting the official government. So this is a proxy war between the Saudis and the Iranians. Nothing unusual. It's just another episode of Shiite versus Sunni. The Americans are supporting the Saudis regardless of the fact that so many people have died, because Saudi Arabia is an ally to NATO, and the Saudis are at war against Iran. This is a proxy war against Iran. So, of course, the Americans are going to support the Saudis. What's crazy, though, is that for decades we've been hearing about the evil Al-Qaeda, and who is Saudi Arabia supporting in this conflict? Al-Qaeda. Saudi Arabia has been recruiting Al-Qaeda fighters to fight the Houthis. So now Al-Qaeda is a good guy. And people are going to argue and say, well, we need Saudi Arabia to fight terrorism. Yet Saudi Arabia supports terrorism around the world, and Iran actually was a help to us in our fight against Al Qaeda and ISIS. So it looks like we could use both. What's so ironic is that some of the biggest vocal supporters for arming Saudi Arabia have been the neoconservatives, the neocons. And these are the very people who have been, screaming at the top of their lungs about the dangers of Islam and Islamofascism and all this stuff. But they're neocons, and I can give you a name of at least one of these people, Lee Kaplan. You can Google this guy, Lee Kaplan. Kaplan is Kaplan. Look this dude up. Lee Kaplan is a neoconservative who backs the idea of arming the Saudis, but yet Lee Kaplan has been a guy who, for many, many years, has been talking about the dangers of Islam and Islamofascism, yet he's talking about arming the Saudis and helping the Saudis who help Al-Qaeda. So these people are all full of shit. They're bullshit artists. I think it's a great idea to end this conflict diplomatically. Why continue on a policy that's only going to lead to more and more deaths, more and more misery? I mean, imagine this. Like, okay, I'm gonna get down to just a very basic perspective here. The people who are saying we love the Saudis, right, and we should just continue like arming the Saudis, these are the very people who, they love their. I've been around the political activist circle, so I've seen this. I know what I'm talking about here. The people who go around talking about politics and all that, these are the very people who love eating very expensive steaks. They love eating their, $250 steak dinners, and they love the high life. A lot of these people are this way, okay? People have been bitching about COVID lockdowns. Oh, it's tyranny. Oh, it's horrible. Imagine living in Yemen, where your life depends on outside charity. You guys are bitching and complaining about, oh, I have to stay home, or, oh, I can't go out to a restaurant, or, oh, I can't go to the bar, can't go to the strip joint. Oh, this is such misery. Imagine living in a country where your food and your medicine, all of your life necessities are coming from the outside, because there is a food blockade to your country, which has led to tens of thousands of people starving to death. And you're getting aerial bombs. You have terrorists to worry about. And you're stuck there, and you can't get out. Just imagine that. Just imagine that. It's like when people talk about... when people say things like, why are we talking about the Holocaust? Why are we talking about the Armenian genocide? These were, they were bad. Yeah, it was very sad what happened, but let's stop talking about it. And it's like, no, we shouldn't stop talking about it. Imagine waking up and turning on your faucet to, I don't know, wash your face or brush your teeth, and no water comes out of the faucet. You go to the other faucet, no water comes out of it. You try to go to the underground pipe that controls the water valve in your front yard, and you try to turn it on or turn it back on, and nothing comes out. It's all dry. And then you call up the water company and you say, "What the hell is this? What's going on?" "Oh, we're shutting off your water. In fact, we're shutting off the water for your entire neighborhood." "Well, why?" Because we don't like you." "Oh, and by the way, if you try to escape your neighborhood, we have blockades and armed guards who will shoot you on sight." What? So you have the choice of being shot or dehydrated to death. That's pretty horrifying, right? I think we can all agree that is pretty damn scary. It's miserable. That's what happened in the Armenian genocide. That's what happened in the Holocaust. And that's what's been happening in Yemen. So if Biden can end things diplomatically, God bless him. And if people are going to get mad at me for saying this, I wanted to say something insulting, but I won't. You're greatly misinformed, because if your mentality is going to be that, then you might as well just seek Heil and be honest and open about the fact that you are in a cult of personality. Because one thing that we have to do when we are observing things, if we are going to be, seekers of truth and all that, we have to give what is deserved. If criticism is deserved, then criticism is deserved. And if praise is warranted and deserved, then praise is warranted and deserved. It really is that simple. If Biden's administration can end this bloody conflict diplomatically, then we should acknowledge it and say, this is a good thing. It's kind of like what happened in Northern Ireland. There was this war for years in Northern Ireland, and the American government stepped in, and there was a negotiation that was done, and the conflict pretty much was abated through diplomacy. So there's nothing wrong with doing things the peaceful way. I would much rather have a peaceful measure end things than, perpetuating this Holocaust that's been happening in Yemen. It's so horrific. You have to put yourself in the shoes of others in order to understand this. Like, if your children were in such a predicament, if you were in such a predicament, wouldn't you want this shit to end? I do. I think that the idea of ending this war diplomatically is way better than what Donald Trump was doing. Donald Trump was doing these huge arms deals with the Saudis that were worth billions of dollars. And remember what Donald Trump said. He said, I just can't let a good deal like this go to waste. I just can't let it pass. And it's all about money. It's all about making profit. That's really what it all comes down to. But I think that if the Biden administration can end this conflict diplomatically, then God bless Biden for that. I will acknowledge it. Anyway, you guys just heard some theology. God bless.